So Lauren was a little over 1 when she first got sick, and I took her she woke up in the middle of the night screaming, throwing up, passing out, a cycle of that, and we took her to the doctor. And first the doctor just said she had the flu, which was really obvious that she didn't, and the doctor sort of sent us home like, look, it's not a big deal. And so I would say that started the process of being dismissed as a parent. And then when she got sick again, 3 weeks later, we were sent to the hospital where she was given a battery of tests, and they came back and said that she had pancreatitis, which I had never heard of, and nobody really explained it to me. So I think it's from the start there was an adversarial relationship. I would say that nobody really connected with me, nobody tried to connect with me. It seemed a little bit like we don't quite know what's going on with her, so we don't really care. I would say there was always a nurse or two that were amazing. Certainly in the beginning there was a really big sense of the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And I would say that went on for years and years. I think the problem is you're afraid to make waves, because then you think, well, my kid's not going to get the care they need. So you sort of sit back and let the doctors do whatever they want, except if they don't get your input, it's not going to work. Lauren was a hostile patient, I would say. She did not like, I don't know if it's because of her pancreatitis, but she was pretty controlling. She wanted, her body was so out of control, so she wanted control where she could get it. And what would happen a lot was the doctors would just walk into the room, they would just press on her belly, they never asked her anything. And she worked with a child life specialist to come up with this list. She sat down with Lauren and said, what are the things you care about when somebody walks into the room? So she made a list that had about 7 things on it. It started out, it said, please, and then it said, introduce yourself, tell me if something's going to hurt, don't stand in front of the TV. It was a long list. Some of them that would apply to anyone, and some of them very 7-year-old centric. One of the things that drove both of us crazy is that the doctors would just walk in the door. There's not a closed door here. Whose room would you ever go into and not knock when the door was closed? Even introduce yourself. They would come in. Lauren was like, who is this person? Is this the cleaning guy? Who is this? So the things that were on her list were meaningful to her. So it was on her door. I happened to be outside at one point talking to a doctor. Another doctor walked up to the door was closed, read the list, tore it off, and said, no kid's going to tell me what to do. So that was the first day that it was up. Within probably a year of that, I wrote an op-ed in the Boston Globe, which the chief of nursing read, and she called me and said, come on in, let's talk. And so I had a very, very open conversation with her about what didn't work. She hired me. I worked with the nursing staff, I worked with the cleaning staff, I worked with physicians, psychiatry, all different groups, the teen advisory, to come up with a shorter list. So we came up with the four things that were the most important. And actually, here's the list. So it's now, please knock on my door, please introduce yourself, please explain why you are here, please tell me if something might hurt, thank you. And so we worked on colors, we worked on everything. So the door, where the door opens, goes right here. And so this is on pretty much every door at Children's Hospital now. And the goal is to not need it. I think to some degree it was lip service in the beginning, but I didn't care. I felt like even if it was lip service, they were making a change, but I think it's part of a much bigger change. I think they are more patient-centric, and I think they do care about these things more. And so I'm not saying that Lauren's list is what did it, but I do think the hospital has moved in that direction, and this was part of it.